Hello and welcome to another episode of Design Under Influence. Liz and I today will dive deep into AI adoption and how to think about it for architecture, design, and engineering firms. We are deep in implementation and deployments of security measures as well as innovation push to help our clients, architecture firms, engineering firms, and so on, to deploy AI effectively, efficiently within their organization. I want to help you think about how to figure out what the human piece is and how to fit it into what AI has to offer. Because there's a lot of blathering around about losing jobs, AI is going to take over everything. The human component is critical. And something I want to highlight throughout this podcast. We're not going to focus on this, but I can tell you right now, with being deep in this job right now, in this work, the human, the way I think about this, and Liz, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna make this sort of a quick stance here. And the
Yeah.
stance is like it helps you get to your highest and best use. Okay. So for example, if I'm drafting a proposal of some kind, I'm gonna use six other quotes of successful quotes that turn into successful proposals. I'm going to
Right.
use six other proposals as well as all that data, as well as tell AI exactly how I want to format this quote for this particular
hmm
client and their particular
hmm
requirements. I'm going to take all that time to gather all that information. It's going to do all of the dirty work for me and get me to 80% there. That
hmm
proposal, that dirty work, my highest and best use is to review it, apply my knowledge, my understanding of the client, my
Yeah.
deep analysis, and then ship it to the client, and that's your highest and best use. Now, if you just shaved 6 hours of prep and your highest and best use of 2 hours, how much
hmm
more can we accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally exactly what I think you should be using AI for. And also that last part you mentioned about you reviewing it, I think that's a critical piece that a lot of people aren't doing. They're just getting the brain dump from their ChatGPT or their Gemini or whatever and sending it directly, which is terrible. And we all now have, I think, this AI meter inside of us. When we read something, you read, that email you get where you're like,
Oh, yeah,
that doesn't feel like it came from the person I talked to a lot, or this report feels very vague and generic. So
sacrilege.
yeah, I think it's the human, what you touched on in the very beginning, and we've talked about it on some of these other podcasts. It's the human component that I am very confident AI is not going to take away. It's not going to take away the jobs we don't want to do. Can we just put it that way?
I'm busier than ever, and I'm
Yeah.
seeing this deployed in organizations. And if it's done the right way, again, it elevates your highest, best
hmm
use. It
hmm
provides huge efficiency boost. And you know
hmm
what? Other thing, Liz, the
Mm.
quality of the outcome, the
Yeah.
output, your quality of your output. You cannot have all these six proposals for a particular customer. Let's
Mm.
say, you build schools, it's a similar school district. You can't
hmm
remember that
hmm
for the last 10
hmm
years.
No, no, no,
Right?
no.
So the quality of my proposal is going to be great. And we're going to talk, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to break down secure AI adoption in
hmm
steps
hmm
and give you, ladies and gentlemen, blueprint. Liz and I will give you blueprint. Now, Liz's job is to poke and pry and, have keep me honest, when I
Yeah.
make a claim, her job is to potentially, knock it down a bit and let's, break it into further components if we need to.
Sure. Do it.
Right. So let's get started, and I'll address all the things we just discussed, but more in a framework. So
hmm
here's your framework for secure AI adoption. Number one, all of us need to understand AI is already being used in our offices and our teams within our
hmm
organizations.
Yeah.
You can tell me that you are not seeing it, or it's not specifically being designated as a tool, but
hmm
regardless, we do dozens of these interviews within the company, and we know that your most talented, your best workers, your best team members use it correctly, but they use their personal accounts, but they don't really know what they can share and they cannot share. For
Right.
example, let's use the same example of coming up with a quality quote for my new project. Can I put in all of these other historic quotes in there
Yeah.
with customer information, or shouldn't I? The answer is absolutely not into your personal account, but it depends. We'll discuss data classification in a minute, but it depends.
hmm
So with that said, if AI is already being used in your office, It's time to take a little bit of a leadership and control over it.
Hmm.
Now, you can't ban it. We talked about it last, Liz. You can't ban it.
Right. You can't.
Yeah.
No, it's not possible.
Nope. But what you can do, and listen, there's also like there's a fine line between security and
Hmm.
stifling
Hmm.
progress, stifling
Yeah.
innovation, and starving your company of the best talent and best
Right.
outcome, right?
Yeah. Because
So,
I mean, what you said just there is that if your company you're in bans it or doesn't allow it, you will, being the best and brightest, go to your personal account. So you are then creating data leaks where you don't want to. So do you know what I mean? Like you need, as a company, need to just wrap your arms around it and say, okay, how do we make the playground safe?
so let me give you the blueprint for that. Okay.
Good.
that we categorize information, company information, into the following categories. Okay, I'm going to read them to you. Public,
Hmm.
and I'll explain what each one means. Public, internal, confidential, client confidential, and restricted. If you say, okay, ladies and gentlemen of my company, all my employees, you cannot use anything but public information in your AI work, then all of your company knowledge, all of
Hmm.
your previous accomplishments go on categorized because AI needs context. If you ask a dumb question, it'll give you a dumber answer.
Yeah, that's so true. Very
Right?
confidently, it will give you a very confident dumb
Yeah.
answer.
For
Mm.
sure, do this, right? Yeah. Please create a proposal for, let's call it, Castro Valley School District bathroom renovation on floor
Hmm.
6. You're going to get that's a dumb question and
That's a
you'll
dumb
get a
question.
dumber answer because it's
Hmm.
going to try to pretend it knows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
But
overconfident intern will deliver.
it's exactly right. And so you have to understand that step one is to really have an approved AI tool within your organization. So people don't use personal accounts. In fact, we don't even allow public information about ArcIT to be
Hmm.
used internally in people's personal accounts. We just don't
Hmm.
because that's we don't want people to argue later. It's like, oh, it was public. I just put in my own GPT. No, just don't do any of it. Even though anybody else can, like you, Liz, can go look at our
Hmm.
website and do it yourself. But internally, we don't allow that. Only information. The only AI use is for our approved internal accounts, which we rolled out Copilot to everybody and
Hmm.
ChatGPT to individual folks who needed higher level access. Although Copilot, to be honest with you, is catching up. And in fact, it is using the ChatGPT backend, 5.5,
Hmm.
the latest. Don't know when you're listening to it. Maybe by the time you listen to it, it's 6.5, but whatever.
Right.
Concepts here are ageless. The tools will change a little bit. Now, the next category, so public. Next category, so the information is already public. That's fine. So next
Hmm.
category is internal. Okay, this is the routine stuff. This is like some SOP, some things like that. We say that, hey, we do allow it to be used in company
Okay.
approved tools, but not into personal at all. Nothing's going to be used in personal, matter of fact. So next one is confidential, sensitive information like pricing, staffing, things like that. We also
Hmm.
allow that. Now, why? Is because, again, without context, you are losing 90% of the AI functionality.
Right.
So you have to pick your battle. Now, when you roll out your AI approved AI tool, there has to be security guardrails, and that's what we work on with clients to make
Hmm.
sure information isn't shared, information isn't leaking out, AI is not
Hmm.
learning on your dime. That's why it needs to
Hmm.
be paid secure account.
Right.
And at this moment, we feel Microsoft, because they already have all your data, let's face it.
Hmm.
Copilot, yeah, just Copilot is a bolt within the Microsoft. We're very powerful one, but it is a cog, right? And I mean, some security experts may call out some potential threats within even within this thinking, but
Hmm.
we have this is kind of like that's the best we have right now,
Yeah.
right? We've done deep research on other platforms, including GPT and Claude, and both of these are seemingly as secure as Claude, but
Hmm.
they don't already have your data. So you got to feed them your data. So
Yeah,
that's
that's true.
what we call exposing surface of attack, right? So
Hmm.
if your surface is Microsoft world, well, if you go into GPT, now you have more surface that people
Yeah.
take and so on. So that there's thinking to be done on this, and we do this with clients deeply and specifically to their use cases. But suffice to say, approve the AI tool for confidential info. Yes, at least that's our stance right now. Client confidential information. That's an interesting piece. So here you can have deviations, you can have reductions. So
Mm-hmm.
important piece is if you want all your client names reducted from any AI kind of work for on internal
Mm-hmm.
tooling, then that's the policy you have to make. But again, unless they're information with access codes and things like that, which we call restricted, this is the last
Mm-hmm.
category. We feel again, this is something that you can use in order to amplify your company's output and
Right.
serve those clients better.
For sure.
Restricted is where it's never to be used in any AI, approved or not approved, no matter what. And
It's going to be like
restricted is passwords, login, social security numbers, payrolls data,
salary data. Yeah,
salary
exactly.
data,
HR stuff.
your potentially your contractual agreements that are secret, with government or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, or government required stuff. So that your whole data within the company need to be thought through, and the clear guidelines, simple, clear guidelines need to be issued to your team. And only then you're sort of ready to roll this out in the safest possible way, even though, again, we're all frontiers workers right now, right? We're kind of rolling with it, baby.
Right. It could still blow up in our faces.
Yeah. Again, we do the
Probably
best.
will.
It will blow up on people's face who don't take any measures.
Right.
I don't want to talk, but I see companies do crazy sheesh. And by that, I mean giving agents access, read write access to their
Oof.
production databases. And there was a like a
Ooh.
there was an issue just 2 days ago. I listened to a podcast. I can't remember what the company was, but the guy was vibe coding. The CEO was vibe coding and ended up deleting the whole production database of all software. So his software ceased to exist as a product, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
agents is a whole other conversation, which we'll have today. I'll touch on this today, but that's something for people to definitely keep in mind that it's risky, but it is opportunity is like amazing. Like
Absolutely.
the gold rush, whatever, the freedom, people all came to USA back, and then came to the West for the gold. And this is like 10x that, or maybe 1,000x that.
But I think what I'm hearing also is my husband, he works in IT and with security and those kinds of things, that all these framework of what you're talking about, this is not new. It's just more people who are less experienced with the way IT frameworks get set up and the way it's thought about are now doing things like vibe coding or getting into this world. And so maybe it's up to people like you who are from that world to be like, that's fine, but we do have some established principles and frameworks that you should probably learn and work within so that you don't delete your entire software system or your production line or whatever it is, or share your entire HR system with some competitor. And I think that's key is to start listening to may I call you a nerd, but in the
Ah,
IT professionals
sure.
about
Yeah,
this.
no, absolutely. People who actually make it their business to keep you in business, hey?
Yeah.
I always love analogies, and your sort of
Mm-hmm.
like view on this is interesting to elevate and think about it this way. It's like all of us got the keys to a big container ships, and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, just go park somewhere, go do trade. And
Yeah.
all we were shown is like, here's the forward, here's the reverse.
Don't
Don't worry
hit
about all these
anything.
buttons. Go dock it in San Francisco. Go
Yeah.
nuts. Hey, if you knock a couple
Yeah.
bridges in the way, it's, what's a bridge?
Right.
Can I use the quote from Devil Wear Prada's now?
Yeah, you should. What is it?
All right.
May the bridges you burn light your
Light,
way.
light my way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like that. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
let's get back. So we now have talked about how that you should have an AI use policy in place,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you should start interviewing your people on what their use cases are and how they're using it today, and how your
Mm-hmm.
information is being leaked to personal accounts already. Then you should
Mm-hmm.
start putting together your classifying your data, figuring out what gets shared in approved internal AI tools. We talked about how to choose an AI tool. And again, that's something you need to talk to a professional about. Things change, things shift. Our stance shifts. But again, if you want right now the safest answer, it would probably be if you're Microsoft shop, you got to go with Copilot. And if you
Yeah.
Google Shop, you go with Gemini. It's just it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The surface of attack is that much smaller. Now, next, you need to understand what the AI policy needs to cover. Okay. The policy it's going to spell out what the approved tools are. Yes, what the data classification, what you can share, what you can't. All that is good. But the policy also has specify what happens if it gets shared. What are the recovery steps? What are the reporting process? So let's say I wanted to do I want to do a payroll analysis for liability insurance this year. They're
Mm.
required as final audits. And I wanted to upload a spreadsheet that had no names, no social security numbers. I reducted all of those. Okay. I
Mm-hmm.
took those out and I'm ready to upload the spreadsheet to AI to help me calculate my payroll. I have 40 employees, right? That's a big one. And
Mm.
I don't want to spend 4 days on it. I wanted to do it in 4 minutes.
Right.
Smart. Good decision. I'm
Good.
using approved AI tool. But Liz, you
Mhm.
gave me a call and you started talking to me about, whatever it is, next podcast, whatever. I got interrupted
Yeah.
and I shoved the wrong spreadsheet,
You should. The unredacted
the unredacted,
spreadsheet.
into
Yeah.
my GPT with all the social security numbers. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
happen. I'm just saying this is
No.
an example. I want people
Right.
listening to be like, oh, he's an idiot. All our times.
Yeah.
But what is the recourse? When do I
Yeah.
report this to the leadership, right?
Right.
How do we prevent, how do we recover this?
Yeah.
There are steps. There are steps to get that data traced and
Mm.
potentially at least, reduce the impact of it and stuff like that. But
Sure.
it needs to be written out. The plan needs to be in place. Qualified people need to go after this and resolve it. So what happens when
Yeah.
something goes wrong?
So question there. If is there a way to even build in more guardrails so that let's say you uploaded that document that the first thing the AI does is, hey, this is stuff I shouldn't see. I'm stopping.
That's an excellent question. See, that is already like that's a very astute and good question. No, there are tools in development that
Mm-hmm.
potentially would do this, but we don't really have an easy lightweight tool that is resource not a resource, let's call it affordable. I can't
Mm-hmm.
come up with a resource restricted whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
affordable tool that is able to do that. Even at the enterprise level, I haven't heard people I haven't really spoken to anybody who works heavy in AI in the enterprise that has this kind of tool set that will be able to analyze the document and say, hey, let's reduct this or auto reduct, names and phone social security numbers, account numbers, access codes, all those stuff.
Well, then would it be an option for, as you classified the different types of data with the idea that different searches or different users have the ability to give their AI access to the different data, but would there be, again, just, I don't know, you would know this, different levels of login. So I am going to do what you're going to do. I know I'm going to be handling sensitive information. So I log into the secure level and it can see more files. So instead of, the process isn't that I'm downloading something to my desktop, but I'm pointing it to a file that's in a location that has been identified as, I forgot the terminology, but extra secure or classified.
Yes. Yeah.
And so it's allowed to see those things where I'm allowed to see those things because I can log into it. So we're all in the circle of trust and we can work there and nothing leaves that circle of trust. And when I get my report, then I know I will redact it before taking it out of the circle of trust. Or it knows, it asks, like, would you like me to redact it now? Yes, please. We're done here. I'm just,
You already exposed it. By the time you ask it to
but I
redact
no
it,
no no, but I'm exposing it inside of the circle of trust. It
oh,
is only living there and
like a local LLM.
yes, like it's here, and I'm gonna go work with something in the classified department, and I log into that agent because I
Mhm.
can. I have maybe Megan doesn't have that login as I'm only trusted with this stuff. I'm just making stuff up now.
I understand.
And so I log in with my credentials. I can work in this area. It can see those things. And then, but before leaving that secured circle of trust, it then needs to be downgraded in its classification, as
I
in
see.
redacted or
I
something.
see. So it's like I get it. So like hypothetically, you can design, it's probably not going to be that hard either. You can
Yeah.
develop a local agent using a downloaded local LLM, super
Mm-hmm.
lightweight, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of guards the secrets, so to speak, and provides access to people where they need it.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that agent has the right, not only read, but write permission. And that's where we're just gonna just right now jump in. You just segued me
Mm-hmm.
right into the agents thing because that's how good you are in the segues.
Brilliant.
So anytime your agent has the right permission, you don't know, you really, none of us really know how they're gonna make a decision to accomplish users' needs. So when they're gonna do the reductions, well, what if they reduct the rest of the stuff permanently? Because they have access to, to production database. Yeah, so that opens a
But
whole other can of worms. Go ahead.
but okay, so you have this collection of data, and you not just tell it you can't write to that data. You can copy it and make your own version of it and write to that. So if you're going to make edits, it's like when you do any kind of change to a large bit of code, you check out part of it, you make a copy, you do your thing. There's a whole review process, then it gets, added to the main code. But couldn't it be told the same thing with this Excel document? Go pick it up, make your own copy. We're going to work with it. This one you can write to, but the original it remains untouched. And we're going to work with this one over here. And then even if it does delete everything out, okay, go back to the original, make a new copy. Let's try again.
But okay. So within that agent, I don't want to play this out too much
Yeah, yeah,
because I think we are futurescaping here. And my
yeah.
challenge, the reality is my challenge, we work with smaller businesses, right? We work
Sure.
businesses with between 10, let's say 100 employees. Like enterprises probably already built what you said, and you just spec'd it out for them. You should say you're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Yeah,
You're
there you
welcome.
go. Good job.
Done.
But yes, the simpler way to think about this
Hmm.
is what you already said. You said your husband is in IT and it was already all there. Yes, the access level is already here, right? We should already have very specific access given to our privileges. Our level one engineers have certain access. Our project engineers have different access.
Hmm.
Me and Boris have
Hmm.
different. Same with your company. And so it's the people who have access to restricted information, they need to be trained. They need to really understand policy, but usually that's
Yeah.
a controllable group within a smaller company, right?
Sure.
That's your top
Sure.
4, 5, 7, 8 leadership positions.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten there by making mistakes. So the idea is you give them a policy, you give them guardrails, and let them go after the efficiency, opportunity improvements, and stuff like that. If you're gonna have a check-in, a check-out agent, and a library agent, and then this agent that doesn't change that agent, the agentic stuff is super efficient, but super scary as well because we're building some cool stuff here at Arc IT that are like mind blowing stuff that Boris and I just went through, like stuff that would take
Hmm.
him a week to do. It goes to our system, it identifies patterns, but it's all we do it as an experiment in closed off partitions.
Yeah.
And what we need to help our customers right now, we're helping some of our customers do is put some guardrails for those agents in the way they act. When something needs to be deleted or changed by the agent to
Hmm.
require human approval, don't let it actually, it still can jump that, but it doesn't
Yeah.
do it often. It doesn't like it's a small risk. So whenever anything it wants to change anything, like for example, this agent was supposed to create an opportunity in a closed partition and it was supposed to describe the opportunity, but it only had that particular software only had 2,000 characters. But the opportunity is huge. It's a big contract, right? So it's trying to fit it in the 2,000 characters, and it's breaking. It's breaking. It can't use, and it's starting to go in a loop, right? And then it starts like, hey, can I use this other field to put the information in? This is where it needs to ask you that question.
Yeah.
So all this with like AI job loss and all that stuff, guys, we're gonna have herds of agents that we're gonna manage with competence and
Yeah.
efficiency. They can't manage themselves.
No.
And right now, there's a way to do it more securely than another way, but there's no guarantees, right? However, if you don't do it, the companies that do it will get the business.
Yeah, it's true.
They can do it cheaper, faster, better than you.
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah. And that is the trifecta that always being said you can only pick two, cheaper,
Yeah.
faster, or better. And but now I think we're moving into a place where you can have all three.
Let me be clear. All right. All of this is frontier experimental stuff. Besides your basic LLM where you type, what should I have for lunch? And it gives you some options. In a professional environment, it is step above beyond experimental, but it's all innovating at such a fast pace. You can
Hmm.
roll this out thoughtfully, have guardrails, and make sure you know how to address security incidents,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't stifle innovation. I don't mean to
Right.
scare you in this podcast, Liz, and everybody, everybody's listening. This
Hmm.
is what it's for. It's about thoughtful and deliberate adoption of the latest innovation that will make your company absolute amazing or probably suffocate some of the opportunities for you in the short term. And I don't know what's going to happen long term.
Yeah. It's true. It's like you were saying in the, was it before we started our hair, is that those who are jumping in or those who don't jump in have FOMO and those who aren't are scared.
Yeah. I think it's a good time for us to sort of wrap this up. And I mean, we've offered a lot of advice and the how to think about it blueprint
Hmm.
structure. It's, you know, AI is already happening to you, whether you want it or not, right? It's
Hmm.
about what data should not be shared with AI, and what about approved AI versus personal AI. That's part of the
Hmm.
policy. It's about the training your team. It's about showing them how to get the most out of it. It's about really innovation versus risk and managing that. So your AI policy shouldn't be just a policy. It should be set of guardrails and it should be implemented, deployed in the company. Questions need to be answered. So it's a process that I think every company needs to go through.
Right.
Our recommendation is to hire a professional, or we have some companies who bring in internal AI. It's expensive, right? Internal
Hmm.
AI expert. Let's say expert, it's very loosely because
Who's an expert
yeah,
these
who's
days?
an
Really?
expert? But someone who has experience,
Yeah.
with building AI tools and understands the enterprise and the company and how like
Hmm.
in relationships work within the company. And so something like that needs to happen. And then from there, there's a lot of fun and experimentation things you can build. I mean, we're building some really cool tools for the organizations who are forward thinking, forward looking, that will save, I don't know, I say like 100 hours a week. I'm not even afraid of
Yeah.
that number. 100
No,
hours a week for a 50-person company.
that's huge.
Yeah, with just a couple basic tools, right?
Yeah,
And then from there, it's all about upping the quality of output.
absolutely.
So with that said, if anybody has any questions, you can all go to getarchit.com. If you need some help with BIM or think about how to think about AI, because Aurora, both Liz and Megan are like super thoughtful about the AI stuff. In fact, you guys pretty much just kind of pushed me in a lot of directions to
You push
get
us too.
to get here. Yeah, we push each other, so it's a good
Push each
little
other.
good dynamic. So yeah, go to aurorabim.com, right?
That's correct.
Yep.
We're there.
Check them
We're,
out.
yeah, reach out.
They're very
Happy
selective
to.
who their clients are, but maybe you can
Well,
qualify.
yeah, maybe you could qualify. Yeah, we're happy to always jump on a call and nerd out on topics like this with anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So until next time, thank you very much for watching and listening, and we hope to see you on the next one.
Thank you.